Hello, everybody. Hi, Granny Pat. We're on
Hi,
live.
Granny. You're looking good.
Thank you. So are you. I love that blouse. That's a beautiful blouse.
It's an oldie, but it's one of those standbys that you grab it every time you can't figure out what to wear.
Yeah, I know how that is. Uh, is it hot there?
Very, very. 2 days ago, it was in the 70s. It was just wonderful. Yesterday, it got extremely hot. So I was out on the farm with Jan and Charlie yesterday, and we'll talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I want to know how you did out there with the cows and the pigs. They don't have that, but
We do, we just have ticks and chiggers.
pigs and
We
chiggers.
have the tiny animals, that
Oh,
love
the
us.
little,
They
yeah.
love us. Yeah.
So did y'all get your? You told me you thought you was gonna do some corn picking and
Okay.
shucking. Or,
All right. I'll tell you about that. We went out yesterday afternoon, right after lunch. I think it was after lunch, and we went to a big farm in on the other side of Paris. Now there's more than one Paris. There's one in Kentucky as well as France, and we went to the one in Kentucky, which is about 20 miles from us. At big farm. Oh, were they busy? And we were going for corn. We wanted to put up corn. They've got a big deep freeze and everything, and I
right,
wanted to put up corn for making corn pudding through the
right,
winter. And
right.
so we got there, and the place was running over with people. They had everything you could want in the way of garden vegetables, and they are organized. So we ended up buying 2 bushels of corn. Now, 2 bushels of corn is about 50 ears per bushel. That's a
Right.
lot of corn.
Lot of
I
corn.
brought home a dozen. I said, dozen's all I can handle right now. So they're gonna put them in their deep freeze. And I told them your method for freezing corn you had given me, and someone else, one a young lady there at the farm told me how they did theirs. So I think we're going to be playing safe by using one or both methods of putting up corn for the winter, and I'm real excited about that. So that was a fun trip. Not every day when you live in the city that you get to see a big farm like that.
Well,
And
the farm had just vegetables, or was it a cow, a pig farm?
well, they obviously do have, because they've got the little store, and I noticed a freezer section all divided off, and like ribs and sirloins and all that stuff all packaged up. And I decided I'd pass that up because I'd want everything I saw. And uh, all I bought was some sweet onions. I told the girl I never can find what you really call sweet onions. They're not sweet anymore. And she said, these are the sweetest you can get. So I bought about 6 or 8 onions and gave 2 or 3 of them to Jan. So I'm hoping that they are nice sweet onions. And I bought a head of cabbage. I already had a big head of cabbage in the refrigerator, but now for folks who don't know, there is cabbage for making coleslaw, and there's cabbage. Big round cabbage is just cabbage. If you're making coleslaw, if you can find it, you buy what's called the flat cabbage. It's like you've taken a ball and mashed it down,
Yes,
and it ends up being shaped like this with the
yes.
oval look rather than a round look. And I spotted a head of cabbage like that. And I said, I don't care how many cabbages I've got in the refrigerator, this one's going home with me. So that's basically all I bought was the corn, the cabbage, and the onions. And they bought some cantaloupes and different things like that. And They've got lots of space. They've got when you've got a big deep freeze, you've got plenty of room for freezing things. So that turned out well, and we did good there, and came
So
in here.
they're basically going to freeze the corn instead of can the corn.
Oh, they're not going to can any corn.
Yeah.
Yep, they're going to freeze it in the husk.
Oh, that's the way I do.
Okay, they're
Yeah.
going to freeze it in the husk. They're going to give it a try and see how it works, and it should work because the little girl that on the farm, she was telling me basically same recipe that you gave me, and
Yeah.
we figured, well, if it works for them, it should work for us too, and so that.
I don't know why when I was a little boy, it took so many years for people to realize that you didn't have to cut it all off and put it in canning jars and all that. And
Oh, I
now
know it. I know it. It's so
that was a
easy
big
now.
job. That was a
Yeah.
big job back then, using them big old corn cutters and them big crock jars, and it was a
Oh,
big job.
such labor. And we went to eat. I went to church with them this morning. And after that, we went to lunch and we went to a little place called Leesburg, Kentucky. Now, I'm telling you, I didn't even know there was such a place. It's just 20 miles from home. You think a person would know about these little towns. Little cafe called, wait a minute, give me a minute, I'll think of it. Oh, Golden. It's Golden Pub. Very small. Nobody was there except us. But I'm telling you, we had the best catfish.
Oh, love it.
Catfish, yes, and vegetables, and of course I always have to have coleslaw with catfish. I think they just go together. We had a wonderful lunch, and probably shouldn't tell this, but I met a man who uh, won the lottery one year.
I'll be darned.
$63 million.
That's a pretty good chunk of money, ain't it?
Well, in my side, it is. Yeah, I think you could buy a small farm for that, don't you?
Did you
So
pat him on the leg?
I
Did you
patted him
pat
on
him
the
on
leg, patted him right on the leg. That's where I reach for the men. I pat them on the leg, so that
well,
they can get
that,
any idea they want to. But that's just my method. So
that is kind of rare. You see these people that won lotteries and big things, but you hardly ever meet them, I would think, especially.
and Jan was a little hesitant about me saying anything to him. And she's like, "Oh, you don't want to ask him. We don't need to ask him questions about anything." So instead of asking him any questions, when he came over to our table and we made introduction, I told him about me. I didn't ask him about him. I told him about me, and I said, "Do you ever watch YouTube?" Well, not really. I said, "Well, you're going to now." I said, "You're going to learn about an 88-year-old lady that decided she needed a career." And that's me. And he just got tickled, he was joining and he was enjoying it. So, but he never knew that I knew who he was. I didn't let
I,
on. I didn't let on that I knew anything about him winning the lottery. And he's super nice guy. And as Jan and Charlie said, he was one of those men that used his money wisely.
right,
You know,
exactly.
you know what? You've heard story after story about how
Yeah,
foolish people are after they
yeah,
win a lottery. Not this
yeah.
man. He did what should do, and I never let on that I knew he had done that. But I really did want to ask some questions. You know how that little dig. There are a few things you just want to ask. So, but anyway, that's all I'll tell about that.
Wonder
I did.
you didn't. I figured you'd have got your little pad and pencil out like some stenographer and started asking questions and writing
Well,
down
you
so
know
you
what I
could.
did? What I did, the owner of the little pub came over and Jan and Charlie were telling me that he used to uh, perform with the Waylon Jennings and different uh, Grand Ole Opry stars. So,
Yeah.
and she said, "Now don't ask him questions. He's not going to like it if you ask questions." Okay, all right. So I said, I told him, I'm on YouTube. Yeah, I would like to interview you. Well, what he did, he gave me his business card. So it had,
Well,
yeah, he gave me his business card, his name, and the little pub name and everything. It's just a little place, but gosh, is the food good. And so after he gave me that, so when the fellow with that had won the lottery came over, I thought, how do I handle him? I just turned the card over and I said, write your name on the back of this card so I won't forget it. And he did. So that's how I said, I'm so bad at forgetting people's names. I said, write it on. He was such a super nice guy. So that was, that was kind of interesting lunch because you don't usually meet people like that when you go out to a pub for catfish. And
sound like you had a big day.
I did had a good day. And as soon as they brought me home, I hit the couch and took a nap. So
I probably bothered you, but I thought I've got some things that I've got to get done this evening. You know, I uploaded a video earlier of Mother and I going to the farmer's market yesterday because I have not uploaded the video for 4 days. I've just been having so much going on, and I told our friends, that I have cirrhosis of the liver. That the ones that didn't know it, I wanted them to know, that's why I tire out so easily. Uh, Not that I'm on death's door or anything, but I just sometimes can't get a lot done. And if my speech process, if I forget words, it's because my mind is not working real good at the moment. But
well,
the heat,
well,
it's the heat.
I think we need to let them know the basics about us so that when we tell something, they understand. They know there's a backlog story
Yeah.
behind it, and we don't have to tell it every time.
That's just funny you said backlog because that's what I said behind the scenes in my video today. I said there's a lot behind the scenes that people don't realize, but I know it's going on in their lives too.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody is similar.
And, they are pleased when you talk about something they're familiar with and
Right.
they think, oh, he knows what I'm talking about. I don't have
Well,
to explain it to him. And I think they appreciate someone they can relate to. And the people on my channel seem to appreciate when you talk to them a little bit. But you don't want to run it in the ground and say, "Oh, I've heard
no.
this story 6 times."
But
So
Pat, and like I said, Granny Pat knows, and a few people know about my because you've mentioned your health, and I'd never really mentioned it, but it can be detrimental on especially hot days. I
yeah,
just cannot make it, and now it's going to be quite a few hot days, and I thought they're just going to have to understand that I may not be cooking every day like I was.
yes,
You know,
and I think you need to. I really think you need to cut back because you're you're putting on a lot of really good recipes, and even I overlook because I forget to look and it passes me by and it may be weeks later and I look and I say, well, I don't remember watching this one. So I think you could cut back a little bit, don't feel obligated to put a recipe on every day. And I tell everybody how good you are. So
oh, I know. Appreciate you. And we've had, even with your comments, we've had a lot of lovely people, very
yes,
gracious,
yes, they
heart,
are.
and they
Uh,
care. And I think that is what life should be. If our world had our people in it, we wouldn't have no trouble at all.
I don't think so. I'm pretty agreeable on most things, unless you say get out in the middle of the pool. I'll say no, I ain't going to do that because I don't know how to swim. So, But
Well, you sure look pretty today. I can see the small screen, but you do look very lovely today, and I'm happy that you had a good time on your trip.
I did. Uh, Jan and Charlie are so good about. I mean, they're hanging on to me to make sure I don't fall because it's a wobbly situation nowadays. It in a matter of 3 or 4 months, things have changed a lot, and it's just something we have to get used to. And of course, I get aggravated because I can't do things, but they have taken it in stride and just have been really good to me. And so we'll talk a little bit about the future as if I'm going to be here a good while. So
You're going to be, but mother, I've got mother's. I'm very concerned about her mind.
yes,
Uh, Hardening of arteries, or that's what they used to call it, but it's just where these veins are closing up. I'm not sure that's what it is, but I've got her an appointment tomorrow, an appointment on Thursday. We're going to get that all scanned and make sure there is no blockages, because
okay.
for her to have that UTI after the broken hip, and then her mind to just automatically go, she can't remember anything recent, but she can remember 30 years back. You know, there's something, it just happened so quickly that I need to find out. So that's what
Well,
we're doing.
that like in the last 2 or 3 days, I mentioned something on one of my videos, and I think it was my sister who said, "How could you remember that? I mean, 88 years. How did you remember that?" I said, "Well, something came up,
Triggered.
and it just sparked a memory in my head. Oh, I
Yeah,
remember such and such." And I said, "That's all it takes is somebody mentioning a subject, and it's just
right.
like a bell rings in your head, and you remember it. In any other situation, you'd probably never ever remember it again." That's
My mother and
me.
we laugh at each other. But yesterday, I've got to tell you something really funny, and whoever's listening, I had to go uptown to get a jug of milk. I'd forgot the jug of milk when we came back from the farmer's market, so I had to go get the jug of milk. Well, I was gone. I don't know. She was still in the bed and had laid back down for her afternoon nap. And when I came back in, I guess I was gone maybe 30 minutes, maybe, because I had to get some cat food and I had to get some milk. And she was sitting in her armchair, her recliner chair, and she had her coffee. I could smell coffee, in the daytime. And I said, Mom, what are you doing? And she said, Oh, I just got through eating my cereal and having my coffee. I said, Mother, she
Well,
said
we
it's
laugh
6 o'clock.
about it.
She
It's
said,
not a
she
funny
said,
matter, but you have to laugh now and then.
she said it's 6 o'clock. I said, Yes, it's 6 in the afternoon. She said, Well, oh Lord, I didn't realize that. I thought it's 6 in the morning.
Well, I wouldn't be up at 6 in the morning.
I do
No,
get up early. No, I do get up early, but I knew when I smelled that coffee because she only drinks one little
one
cup of
cup.
coffee a day.
Yeah.
And I knew when I smelled that coffee, I thought, well, she's really changing today. She's become somebody else.
Oh my gosh, we're going to be getting up when it gets dark
Yes,
instead of
yes.
when the
So
sun
I
shines.
told her,
No.
I said,
Oh well,
that's
we
good.
have to laugh at some of these things because
Hmm.
without a little humor in them, it'd be kind of hard to tolerate the thing. I mean, there's so much bad stuff nowadays that I just don't want to watch the news. I don't want to hear anything about it. I just want to wander off into my own little world.
Well, that's what we kind of do, I think, Granny Pat, that you and I, we kind of are in our own little uh, space.
Yeah, a little space. Yeah, we'll create a space if there's not one.
And now we just so happen to have thousands of people that go into our space with us, but I'm glad they enjoy it and they could come to be in our space, you
Yes,
know.
and I've noticed when I'm watching your video and I noticed the comments. I see a lot of familiar names that have been commenting to my channel. And I think I am so glad that my friends, I call them my friends because they are. I mean, they
Yeah.
really are. They say some of the nicest things ever was. And you know, I get cards constantly, all the time. And I'm going to mention this, and I'm going to let the people who are watching see what they think about this. They've sent me beautiful cards. They've sent me those little fold out cards, you know, that blossom and all. And I think these are so pretty. But what am I going to do with them? Well, some of these cards have a little slot where it's got a little note card where you write on it. Well, all I have to do is take that note card out. And see, we have several assisted living nursing homes here in Lexington. And I know I've been told by two or three women that they show my videos at the nursing home to the patients, and they like watching me. Well, I was just dumbfounded when I heard
Right.
that. So when I started looking at this stack of beautiful greeting cards I've got, and I said I can't throw them away. Uh, what am I going to do? And I got to thinking, why couldn't I donate these cards to a nursing home? And when a patient has a birthday or just a bad day or something, they can leave a little greeting card on the table by their bed and let it.
Yeah.
I can provide blank envelopes. You know, put that card in that blank envelope, and let's just say we're passing it forward. So
Right.
not only
Oh,
I enjoyed it, but somebody else is going to enjoy it. And the thing about it is, many of those patients never see a visitor.
I
And I
know. I
think,
know
I,
so
what do
bad.
you think? What do you think? You think it's a
I
good idea?
think it's a wonderful idea, and I would. Can you? Would you want to sign it from you?
No, no, I just want them to give them the card, and it might even be have a name inside like Mary or Nancy. Nancy
Right.
sends me Nancy sends me beautiful cards you just wouldn't believe, and I think, oh my gosh, I have to take special care of these, and I got thinking somebody else needs to enjoy these cards too, and I'm going to work it out so the card goes to that person special. You know, it's not like it's with somebody else's card.
The
It's
only
going
reason
to be theirs.
The only reason I asked if maybe you should sign them is because you know how when you have a good intention and you take something and you expect others to do what your good intention is, they will take it for themselves, especially in a nursing home setting, or they won't do it at all. So I thought, well, if you signed it a happy birthday or whatever the card may be, happy birthday, love, Granny Pat, then somebody can't take that card and give it to somebody down the street. It would
Well,
have to
I
go
think
in.
I think if you put it in the hands of a nursing home worker that that handles the social activities
Social,
of
yes. Yes.
patients,
If you
they
could,
would just keep those cards and use them as they were needed for the different patients. I believe they would do that because if they're willing to take my videos and they show them to the patients, they would that would just be a simple little thing for them to hand them uh, an envelope with their name on the envelope, you know, and it's to them special. So I'm going to
but
give
you,
that a try, and I'm going to find someone
I think,
who
right.
works in a nursing home that to work with me on that.
I think it's a wonderful idea because we do need to pass on things that we have that, are otherwise put in a box or put in the trash or
Yeah,
whatever. And
you
those
stick it
people
in the
need,
drawer for
those
years.
Those
Go
people need the love more than anybody. Children and elderly people are what God means for us to take care of.
and see, I feel guilty because I don't do anything for people. I don't feel like I do anything for people. You know, a little piece of cake or a bowl of soup or something now and then. I'm fixing that soup. I just share it because I've got more than I need, and it's no effort for me to offer it to a neighbor. But these are people who are special. They're special, and they need special attention. And
That's right.
I think just to wake up in the morning and see one of those pretty fold out cards on the table beside the bed and
Yeah.
know it's for them and for them alone. So I'm going to give it a little more thought because I want to do something good.
We
That's
all,
the thing.
all of us, me and you, and all of our people that watch us, do something good this week for somebody,
Yeah,
literally,
yeah,
because I try and I do. And if everybody would do one good chore a week for some situation or somebody, the world will be a better place.
yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, that's my thought for the day, and passing it along to you. I know others will see it too, and I
Yeah,
can get their opinion, and
yeah.
they will have lots of good suggestions. I have no doubt about that.
That's good that they can respond and tell us what they're doing or
Yes,
what they're thinking or
yes. I want them to do that. Now, when I first started my books, I was doing my book then, and writing the stories that I tell now. Um, One of my friends, young friends, her mother was a school teacher, and we were talking about my book one day. This is a few years ago, and she said, "Pat, you need to go to the elementary schools and tell your stories." And I said, "Oh, I don't think I could do that." And she said, "Yes." She said, "My mother would love having you come in her classroom and tell stories to the children."
they
So
would love it.
I've never pushed that idea, but there's a possibility.
Think about think about all those children that get so bored with school. We always, when we heard somebody was coming, we got spruced up and enjoyed the day. And just think of the smiles you could bring to children. And that's our next generation. That's the only way what we have to go on.
Well, in my case, I do have enough family history. We're talking about wars and civil wars way back when. These children know nothing about those days. But my friend was saying, you can teach them a little history that they don't get out of a book. And you
Yes,
can
and you've got
tell
a lot of fun
stories.
stories. Fun for the younger kids. You've got funny stories. For
Yes,
the middle-aged kids, you've got history and stuff they're going to need.
exactly, exactly. And stories they're not going to find in a history book in class. These
No,
are true
no,
life stories, and they're going to say, "That was your grandfather," or something like that. And
yeah,
so, yeah, I really need to work on it because what else have I got to do?
that's exactly right. Make a difference, and that's what we try to do every week. Is make
Yes.
a difference in somebody's
Well,
life, right? And you do.
and I truly think I think we have made a difference because the responses I get, it amazes me the things that the people say. And I think, oh my gosh, they really need companionship. They do. So many live alone, and what they want is someone they can relate to. So I'm trying, and you do really you do a terrific job with your recipes. I keep telling Jan, tell your friend to watch Billie Jean. So
We'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, it's getting there, and all through the help of you and everybody that's been so supportive. I'm just flabbergasted, kind of, you
yeah.
know.
Well,
But
I like to hear you tell about little conversations you have with your mother. It's not every man that's taking care of his mother. It's usually a daughter that does that. sort of thing. And it amazes me how well you relate to each other.
Well, it's not easy all the time, but
Well, we don't have
it's
to tell all the bad things. We just tell the good things.
no, it's doable. I mean, she's my best friend, not just my mother. She's my best friend.
Yeah, yeah. And I can see
And
that. And when I see
if
her, when you show her on the video, I just love when I can see her.
you know, people say, "Well, do you not like to do art, or do you not like to do design, or do you not anymore?" I said, "My calling is taking care of my mother. You know, if I have to forego a career and friends that don't understand or do understand because they're a long way off, they just have to understand because I'm taking care of my mother, and that's what I was supposed to do. I took care of my father. I'm taking care of my mother, and that's just the way it's going to be. If people don't understand, I'm sorry.
I know it. I know it. And those who don't, I feel so sorry for those who don't get the same care that you're giving your mother. They can give their mother, but they don't. They don't.
So,
So,
I knew a man that took care of his mother by not by way of doing everything for her. He had help, and that cost that man close to $200,000 or $300,000 a year to get 24-hour good care.
yeah.
And you know, I still feel obligated to just take care of my mother. It doesn't matter what it costs or what it doesn't cost, or it's going to make a big difference in her life as long as she is here. And it makes a big difference in my life knowing that I did everything possible for my father, and now everything possible for my mother, for them to have a good life till their end.
Well, in this day and time, you're not going to see much of that. No. See, you've got the iPhones and the iPads and what we're doing here, and they don't have to be there in person. And I don't care how many videos you show me. I want to see you sitting on my couch.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So,
exactly right. So,
yeah.
yeah, I have no regrets. That's
No.
maybe what
No.
my last book. I think I'll call it "I Have No Regrets."
Well, that's not a bad idea, you know.
Idea.
So, and my mother was always saying, Pat, won't you come live with, she was in a nursing home by then. It just reached a point that was necessary, but she was 99 years old when she went. It's not like we threw her in a nursing home early.
Exactly.
The time
Exactly.
come that we could not handle the care that she needed. And she was, every time I'd go visit her on the week, see, I drive 70 miles every weekend to stay with her and go back home, go back to work on Monday morning. And so I did that for 2.5 years. And she'd constantly say, Beth, why don't you come and live with me? The house was still there, and furniture and everything in it. And I'd say, but Mom, I have to work for a living. I have to
Right.
bring an income in. I don't have the money to just quit work. But she was always wanting me to come live with her, and it just didn't happen, couldn't happen. But she had good care. There's no question about it.
That's,
My mother
yeah,
did have good care. Yeah. And I
that's
hate
the
to say I have no regrets about that at all.
That's right. That's right. I don't have no regrets about my dad, uh, because I went to the ranch and I said, Dad, because we hadn't spoken in 5 years, and I said, Dad, I hear that you have cancer, and do you need me to give up what I'm doing in Dallas at that time? I will move down here on the Red River and take care of you. And he said, "No, son, I don't want you to do that, but if you want to." And I knew right there my daddy needed me. And so I quit my job. I got my grip, as daddy called it, packed. and I moved down there in the house for 6 to 8 months until he passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that's all I knew to do. You know.
Well, if you hadn't done it, you would constantly be having regrets.
Oh, I would. I would.
Yeah. You'd
You
be
know,
saying, I should have done it. Yes.
and I had siblings that lived 5 minutes away.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
That's the way it works. It
we
does.
just have to do what we got to do, and it's just like here. I have siblings that live close by, but everything is always worse on their end, and
It is. Yeah.
they don't really know what worse is.
No, that not until you I'm going to say burden down, and it is a burden when you're having to give that kind of care because you don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen and how much it's going to take out of your life and
Yeah.
how tiring it will be.
But we get along and make it just fine. Mom and I, we enjoy each other, and it's just the way life is. But now
Well,
the heat,
it gives you a reason to use your cooking skills.
it does, because that's what I was thinking when you were saying, well, you need to give up so many. Well, I've got to cook anyway, so why not film it? You know,
Exactly.
but
Experiment with her.
a lot of, well, not a lot, but a few people have said, let us see your face when you're cooking and da da da. Well, they don't understand my kitchen is a galley kitchen. It's a long, narrow kitchen. I barely have a room to get in there to cook, much less film equipment or cameras. I just cannot do it. They're just going
No.
to have to wait till I get a filming
Well,
kitchen.
I like the way you do it though. See, I don't like me in the kitchen. I hate when it shows me, and because I do so many things wrong, and they let me know it too. Some of them do, And I say, well, I'm the one licking my fingers. I'm the one eating the food, and I made the pineapple mandarin orange cake last week, and I said to Charlie, I said, well, what y'all have for supper? He said, well, we had cake and ice cream. And I said, what kind of cake? He said, mandarin orange and pineapple. I said, wasn't very good, was it? Took that ice cream to keep it from being so dry, but he wouldn't have complained at all. If he was eating it, I was pleased just to get him to eat the cake. But yeah, anyhow, I don't know.
Well, I wanted to touch base with you and see if you was okay and tell you we're okay. It's just hot and it's hot there, and make sure everything was going like we normally do on Sunday. We just kind of, and we're going to have to probably, since summer's coming on, and I've got my stepbrother I've got to take to Baylor for the cancer center. I've got my brother-in-law that's going to another cancer center. I'm going to say it right now, if
I
for
think
some reason,
I think
if
you
for
need
some
I
reason,
think you need to put Billie Jean Taxi on the side of your car. You
well,
could put
that wouldn't make it as special if I did that. No, what I was going to say is I'm going to tell our viewers that if for some reason there's not a video on a Sunday, it's because there's something that's come up in either one of us, and
yeah.
I can't stop and put a sign up saying we're not going to have a video today. You
Oh,
know,
let me tell you before we get off. We
okay.
went back home after we'd been to the farmer's market, I'll call it, and Jan says, now, Charlie, you've got to take Mom out on the farm. There's a section she hasn't seen yet. He's got that little dune buggy thing, that makes a lot of noise and doesn't have windows in it, it's open. So we get in that little buggy, and I'm in the front seat with him. And I wanted to video, but it makes so much noise when you're in that buggy that you can't hear
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
talking. And I said, there's just no good way I can handle it. So they'd been talking rain, it's gonna rain at 1 o'clock, gonna rain at 3 o'clock, and this, that, and the other. We get out there, and I'm telling you, 200 acres is bigger than I thought it was.
A lot of
We were
land.
all up and down those hills through those weeds, and Jan says, "Well, now the only thing you have to worry about ticks and chiggers." I thought, oh, gee, that sounds like great fun. She's in the back seat, and she's got her little iPhone, and she does a really good job with photography. She's taking pictures of these little flowers that the flower is as big as your fingernail, and she's
Yes.
closing it, and she's going to describe. I think, oh my land sakes, I'll not remember what that flower was. What that looked like a weed to me. Oh no, that's what she feeds the deer, and on and on. And I got a description of everything. Well, we get so far, and I don't know how in the world Charlie followed a path. I said, Charlie, does this thing have good brakes on it? Because it looked like we were going straight down those little old paths. And I said, do you ever get lost in the woods? I'm telling you, it's big enough. I said, Charlie, I'd get lost in these woods. And I said, is this where you and Jan are going to build me a cottage back here where I can't find my way out? So we just had a lot of fun joking about it. Then all of a sudden, this little buggy doesn't have window in front. It's
No.
open. It's open all
Wow.
around.
Yeah.
It starts raining,
Oh,
and it it was raining. Charlie and we are getting soaked. I mean, soaked. And Jan's sitting in the back seat. She's not getting a bit wet. She's got her camera ready. She's taking pictures of us. And
oh,
I said, Jan, not all of that water running down our face was rain. Part of it was tears because we were getting soaking wet. But we stepped out of that little buggy. Sure enough, it looked like we just washed our hair,
I
and
bet.
our clothes had changed color because they were so wet. And she was just having a ball taking the pictures and laughing at us. But
Oh, it's funny.
you could go so far in that heavy rain, and next thing you knew, you were coming out of the rain. We're looking at a rainbow over on another hill. So it was
That's
a
funny.
fun
That's
thing.
funny.
It
That's
was a
really
real
funny.
day, and and we just couldn't quit laughing over. I said, "It's a good thing I hadn't just been to the beauty shop and had my hair done, because it was like this, dripping wet." And she was having more fun than we were because she's just sitting back watching us and taking our pictures. So that's one of the things we did after we
That's
went to farmers market. Yeah, we went home.
that's really,
She cooked a good supper too. So
well, you had a good time. That's really good. We've been on here nearly 45 minutes, so I think we should cut it off and know that we're okay and you're okay and we're blessed and hope everybody else is blessed.
well,
So,
I hope people enjoy our little conversations. There what we're doing this for is for pleasure.
yeah, we do. And laughs.
And and we enjoy telling the stories just the same as we enjoy hearing stories.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
And I
Of
hope
course.
that our viewers feel the same way about it too, and will let us know.
I
And I
hope you
know
let
I
us.
talk too much. I know
No,
that.
you do not. I love it. I love it. But I guess we'll just say, I'll talk to you later, Granny Pat.
Okay, and everybody, let us know what you think.
Bye
Okay, bye bye.
bye.